Greetings programs, welcome to the grid. I am Sark and today's game is the clone stamp tool in Affinity Photo. We're going to be painting on top of this painting, partly because we need some way to have a background in our scene that's going to work all right. I went and looked on CG Textures. CG Textures is a really useful website. Show you what I found. Use files, swap in this. Yeah, so I found some plaster that looked like it might belong back there, and this would be fine. But I'm sort of, I don't know, enamored of the painting, and I want to see if we can use that. So obviously, as it is now, it won't do. There are just too many places where it's popping out from behind our objects. We're never going to get it quite perfect in terms of where we're like covering it up. And it just won't work for our reflections and things either, probably. So I'm going to see if we can wipe it out. And Affinity Photo is a good tool for this. It has a clone stamp function, and you can see that I have marred somebody's beautiful painting with my quick and dirty clone stamp job. That said, it comes out all right. It's a little blurry in some places. We're gonna look at fixing that. I've got to deal with this end here. So I just wanted to show you that don't be afraid to go in and mess up a painting. You've got a copy of it. It's a digital file. So the trick is on the left-hand side here, you get your clone brush. By default, I don't know what its defaults are. I set the width in this case to like 60 pixels. That was about as much as I wanted to mess with at a given time. Left the opacity up pretty much. Set the hardness down to about half or less. So that'll soften the edges. And this is what your brush should look like, something like that. Nothing dynamic, I'm just using my mouse. And then you hold the Alt key to take a reference and then just start painting, right? And it's just going to copy where you painted from. Now you got to be careful because with my painting at the top left, it's brighter. The colors are more daylight color. On the right-hand side, it's dimmer. So if you copy a section, you've got to remember that if you're painting further left than the section you copied, it's going to get too dark. And if you copy a section on the left and you paint right, then it's going to get too bright. So it's a little bit of sort of jostling around to find the right mix of the places worth stealing from. And obviously you don't want to copy too much from one area or you get an obvious repeated pattern. In some cases I dropped the opacity down and copied from two places, right? In order to cheat a little bit. That helps. So let's see, I'm going to just do this section to show you what I'm doing. Right. So it gets a little light there because I copied from further north. So I'm just going to choose something in the scene that's probably a little darker. Let's take from here. And let's actually take from here. Let's see what that looks like. Too bright. A lot of this I destroyed, didn't I? Let's see. Okay, that looks about right. So I just want to make sure that edge blends okay. And steal another location still, maybe. Too bright. Steal this darker location, too dark. Steal from here. I mean, it's not bad. Just try and soften that up. And we don't really have to do the whole thing. I just wanted to make sure that there wouldn't be anything sticking out from our scene. So that's the clone stamp tool. There's another tool I wanted to show. If you go in afterwards, I mean, because some of this gets really muddy and it's just losing that nice crispness. I'm not really a physical media artist. Maybe I'll get there at some point, but if you were, you would just do your own backdrop painting, right? It would take a few seconds. But we can put some of that crisp detail back in. So Affinity Photo has a nice collection of dry brushes built in, or you can go find some free ones or pay for some. I wouldn't pay for any. There's lots of brushes out there that are free. Just take any of these probably. And the next bit I would do is, I kind of like this one, go to modify that. Make sure that under spacing, you've reduced the spacing significantly, right? Or sorry, increased the spacing to sort of spread out the effect. And actually, we're going to take the brush size up to a certain point, and now we can just, like, we have this like speckly brush, right? So we're going to steal some colors from our scene, possibly some of our darker and brighter colors to sort of hit some things. So I'm going to take this sort of burgundy if I can get it. Yeah, one of these. Come on. What do I want? I want like one of these really red hues. Not too dark, I guess. It's probably fine. So I've got this like dark brown, and I can come back here and speckle in some detail, and then take like a slightly lighter color, one of these softer greens. Do the same thing. Yeah, there we go. And that's just going to help hide hide the terrible hit job we've done. Conceal our dirty work. Probably a bit much. Let's see. And remember, a lot of this is going to be behind our objects, so it is not the focus of the scene. We can kind of get away with hiding it. Choose one of these darker colors here. Yeah. Ooh. It's a lot. You could also drop your opacity on this too, right? Yeah. For sure. And you can get away with a little more. So, that's my evil plot. That's really all I have to show today. I'm just going to show how it looks in 3D Studio Max. We'll go to Save As. I'm going to save it in our still life scene. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not going to save as. I'm going to export, right? Because we're going to save it as a PNG or whatever, not as an Affinity file. And I'm just going to save this right over the one I was working on. It'll replace in real time in 3D Studio Max, so you actually have it in here. In my material editor, I do have a copy of it. I thought I did. All lies. Yeah, apparently pure lies. So, go to desktop, go to the grid, go to 3D still life. Okay. So, we replace that. And I think that's being referenced in our material editor. Yeah, so now when we render, here's our new version. So there's no table sticking out there, there's no vase behind. There's a little obvious, like I can see where I'm speckling, but who's going to notice that? So it's done. That's it. That's my quick and dirty trick to take an image that you're using as a reference and steal parts of it to use in your scene. So, I don't know, maybe later on I'll get to a point where I'm just painting my own backgrounds, or there's another way we could do this. We could be using an HDRI sphere to sort of generate a background. If anybody has a high dynamic range of some small cottage studio in Europe, send it along. But for now, this is going to serve my purpose. So I'll just hit Alt B, swap it out here as well, and pretty happy with that for today. Good luck, have fun.